Hey everybody, welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, what's your tolerance for risk?
My risk tolerance?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice question. I don't know. It depends on if we're talking money or if we're talking me going on a roller coaster. Generally a little bit conservative, I guess, and I don't do roller coasters anymore, so I ask.
So you sound risk averse is what you're trying to tell me here. Like the roller coaster thing, I thought you'd be like, I'm fine with roller coasters.
There's other areas that I don't mind risk at all.
Yeah,
So,
okay. All right.
like I take chances when I drum, stuff like that. It depends.
Yeah,
It depends.
okay. Well, I think in our channel, sometimes some of our VARs and ISVs, they might feel a little bit of risk around certain types of technologies, certain industries, certain things that they're not sure they want to play in just yet.
It's hard to break that inertia sometimes,
Yeah,
right? They just
exactly.
get comfy in their zone.
They do, yeah. And I know that particularly seems to happen on emerging technologies when we talk about things like AI and robotics and cybersecurity, computer vision, all this kind of stuff.
Oh, you're scaring me already.
People, for some reason, think sounds futuristic still. It's like, no, you realize we've been doing this stuff for like a decade plus already.
Yeah.
So it's not really new, but it's time for you to get on board with it. So that's going to be our topic today. We're going to talk a little bit about removing the risk around emerging technologies.
I like it.
We've got Justin Christiansen from Intel joining us today to talk more about this particular subject. We're going to talk about, why there are that versions out there and maybe like how Intel approaches, has with the attitude they have towards, the riskiness that might potentially be there with emerging technologies.
Nice.
We're going to get into AI and cybersecurity in particular because they're pretty much hot topics and how they're addressing those. And we'll spend a little bit of time talking more about AI as far as like the arms race that's built around it and what are people concerned about with it when it comes to, adapting and adopting AI into their solutions. So
it is a bit of an arms race.
It is.
In the Wild West, I would call it right now.
Exactly.
Yes.
We've talked about this. We've had all these episodes about AI. We keep talking about the fact that like every single company out there is trying to figure out how AI
Everybody's
fits
trying to
into
figure
their
it out.
world.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. All right.
So all that plus our usual value to the VAR, what's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
As I mentioned, our guest today is Justin Christiansen. He is the GM of software and ecosystem sales, particularly with network and edge for Intel. Now, that's kind of a mouthful there, and it tells me that you have a lot on your plate probably. But Justin, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit more about what that means and what your day-to-day life is like at Intel.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and about our partnership. Yeah, so in terms of what the team's focused on, we've got a group at Intel called Network and Edge. We're really focused on kind of more operational technology type deployments as well as what's happening in the network. And then my team's focused on the software ecosystem. How do we enable third-party software partners to optimize their applications with Intel technology? How do we then help them commercially scale those solutions or those systems and market? And how do we help them drive preference with end users so that we're solving end user problems and helping them drive outcomes with the collective technology that we provide as well as our ecosystem partners.
I like it.
Very good.
Like I said, he's got a lot on his plate.
He's a busy guy. He's dealing with software vendors, so they're and they're coming out of the woodwork, right?
And as we established many times over, they are very much a big part of the future of our channel. These partnerships that you need to have in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
And to take on these emerging technologies.
Yes.
So let's get into it then. Let's talk about this idea. So, the whole emerging technology, it's kind of a bit of a nebulous term. You can put some heavy quotes around that if you want to. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of VARs. They may shy away from this stuff. They may have a kind of like, I'll do this when it's proven.
Yeah, right.
Let someone else take the risk. I'll jump on board when it's proven later, which I never think is the smartest idea. I get it.
Yeah.
Again, if you're risk averse, I understand it, but it's not necessarily the smartest approach to it.
Right.
But Intel, you guys take a very practical approach to these kind of technologies and how they actually impact the real people, the businesses, the end users that we're trying to go out there and sell these solutions to. So do you have, a favorite story or two about how companies transform the experiences using Intel-enabled technology?
To be honest, I have a lot. I think the breadth and diversity of solutions that can be created out of the technology that we provide, as well as the technology that our partners develop, is incredible. And I think I tend to lean toward the the outcomes that help save lives as being kind of my favorite. Even if we play a very small role in that solution, there's still a special feeling you get when you know that you contributed to a solution. And an example I would give is with GE Healthcare and their critical care suite. They asked hospital staff what they wanted AI to help them do. And they said, we want to help with critical findings so that we can better treat our patients. And specifically, what are some of the things that are not common, but they're conditions that can lead to life-threatening consequences if they're overlooked? And they focus on X-rays, which account for about half of all medical imaging. And they worked with Intel's OpenVino tool. OpenVino is amazing. It enables you to kind of write once, deploy your application across Intel's product portfolio with optimized AI performance. And with GE, some of their models were able to get up to a 3x performance. And that, just the ability to help identify things sooner, help save patient lives, those types of outcomes are some of my favorite. Kind of more in the day-to-day kind of activities that we deal with. I think business outcomes are always fun for me. I have a finance background, so being able to solve problems with profitability are kind of top of mind. If you listen to a lot of the quarterly earnings results coming out of some of our large retail customers, you'll hear a lot about loss prevention. And especially post-COVID, I think the combination of organized crime, things like scan avoidance, these are really impacting profitability for retail partners. And we work with third-party ISVs. I think Epic.io, the work that Ken Mills and team are doing is amazing, providing retailers with solutions that allow them to help drive this profitability. And it results in not only a better business outcome for the retailer, but lower prices for all of us as we shop. And then finally, I'm a huge sports fan. You probably see some of the sports memorabilia behind me. We work with a partner, Wait Time, that does crowd analytics. I think Zach missed a beer at a hockey game, or missed a goal at a hockey game while getting a beer. I've shared that experience. So anything that allows me to watch more of the sporting event I'm a huge fan of. So really, like I said, a broad range of things that our partners are doing to enable outcomes. And we're excited to be a part of every single one of them.
So a little bit more on the transformation, if you will, and the partnership between BlueStar and Intel that we are so excited about. Justin's just rattled off a couple of them, like wait time. We have always talked about, John, about, the need for the VAR 3.0. I mean, heck, we talked about it at VARTECH last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
You were the voice of VAR 3.0, as a matter of fact.
We were at 2.0 at the time.
That's right. But,
now we're heading on to 3.
It's a partner-assisted universe that we live within, right? And so in order to enable that partner-assisted universe, you need to have vetted partners along the way.
Yep.
We have our TEConnect program. Justin just described what they do on the ISV side and enabling their partners for commercial scalability, driving preference with their solutions and driving outcomes. It is a perfect match of what we do. So when you talk about companies like Wait Time, who has a wonderful machine vision solution that can enable facilities to better utilize their facilities and cut down on wait time and things of that nature. These are very niche AI type of applications that, as we look at our reseller base, we're like, hey, obviously resellers need to be more than that one trick pony. They need to be able to step out of some of their core offerings and offer up some of these other vetted solutions. We've developed things with Intel, with other companies like Pather AI. Pather does a great job of doing analytics in the retail store, heat mapping, starting to get into the intelligence of detecting whether or not there's theft going on or odd behavior, those types of things. Again, these are solutions that are just slightly off the core of what our typical OT reseller is going after. MELD-CX is another one that we're developing relationships, and they have great analytical tools that are kind of behind the house that can help with inventory and how as it relates to e-commerce and the overall the totality of the user experience. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff there, but it comes through this ecosystem of vetted partners. And when you tap into what Intel can bring on the compute side and the engineering side, it's a win-win. Yeah. And that's really kind of what we're building. So to Justin's point, there are so many good stories, right? And there's so many good stories that Well, just in our relationship alone over the last couple of years, we've developed, but of course, Intel goes way, way back in their ability to have wonderful stories along this line.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And those companies you just mentioned, WaitTime, Panther, MeltCX, we've had all of them on the podcast.
We have.
They've all
They're
told
great
those
people.
stories.
Yeah.
And I think, Zach's in particular is one that, and this GE story too is similar to that also, where I know most of our VARs, ISVs, our partners that we work with, solution integrators, whatever it is you do, they're people that like to solve problems.
That's right.
They're people that someone can hopefully trust to go to and say, hey, I've got an issue, I've got a problem that needs to be solved.
That's right.
And you step up and figure out how to solve it based on, whatever hardware, software you sell, the partnerships you have. That's what everybody wants to do in this channel. That's what we like to do. It's what we feel good about when you get to go out there and solve a problem.
Yeah.
Well, these kind of solutions and this kind of stuff we're talking about here is solving problems that maybe a lot of people may have thought were unsolvable or just kind of an accepted fact. The WaitTime, I think, is a great example of that. A man who just said to himself, look, I'm tired of missing a key action in a sporting event because I decided to go get a beer, or I decided to, go to the bathroom or something, and I'm standing in line waiting and all this stuff happens. Very simple concept. One of those things that everybody's dealt with. And we probably all just say to ourselves, well, that's just the way life is. It just happens. You but get unlucky sometimes and you miss
there's a better way.
The key shot. But there was a better way and he found it and did that. And I think that's a big point of this, especially when we talk about the risk around emerging technologies is, hey, when you develop these kind of partnerships and you're working with folks like Intel's working with and some of the software partners they're bringing into the fold and bringing into our channel to work with our partners, it's helping you solve some of those unsolvable, again, heavy quotes here I'm putting here, those unsolvable problems that really aren't if you just think about it in the right way and have the right partner to help you get to those. And who doesn't want to be able to do that? I mean, it doesn't mean you have to solve every problem, but who doesn't from time to time want to be able to say like, hey, someone approached me with this problem that no one else has been able to solve for them, and they've just kind of taken it for granted. I found we had a partner that we could actually reach out to and bring in and solve this problem for them. And I think that's a lot of what Intel's trying to help us accomplish here. Would you agree with that, Justin?
I would. And you named a couple of our other close partners that we work collectively together with, and what George and the Panther AI team are doing with spatial intelligence. Is going to enable a lot of new use cases too. So like we talk about the problems we know exist or the challenges we know exist and how we can resolve those, like Zach standing in line at beer. But there's actually a lot of things that, we'll be able to improve that we haven't thought of. And some of those are also really exciting. And I love MeldCX too and the work that they're doing to actually educate, children or younger people on how to build AI models, which is kind of a tangent from their core business. So it's just a really fun space to be in.
It is. It's a lot of excitement around it for sure.
No doubt. All right. Well, let's get into. I'm going to make a statement here. It's an understatement. AI, cybersecurity. Those are pretty big hot topics. Again, we've talked about both of them in a lot of recent episodes here. So, let's get into that. And I know you're a little, more in tune on the AI side of things, but what is Intel doing with those particular technologies that can help clients, really, and our channel drive some success around those topics in particular?
Yeah, well, I mean, AI is rapidly improving the ability for us to support business outcomes of all time, or at all times, or at the same time. Sorry, customers are demanding security, and security threats and vulnerabilities are kind of driving headlines with numerous companies getting publicity for high-profile breaches. And so we have a security center of excellence led by Rick Echeverria. And they're focused on how do we, like we've done with AI, focus on the outcome-based selling motion and focusing on ISVs in the ecosystem. They're focused on enabling the security ecosystem the same way. And we do that from our technology stack. Within our products, we have security features like Intel Software Guard extensions, Intel Trusted Execution Technology, Intel Advanced Encryption Standard New Instructions. These types of technologies that are built into the hardware, they act as accelerators for security features, and they enable outcomes like confidential computing, hardware-rooted chain of trust, and advanced threat detection. The other thing that I would add, we also emphasize a transparent supply chain, which I think is critical when you're talking about delivering a trusted product where people can leverage the features that are built into it.
And there it is right there. I mean, if you're a software development company and you're developing, you get lost in your little world of coding, but you may not understand all the things that Intel can bring to bear to help that solution, help enable that solution, get it to market faster, more secure. So when we talk, a lot of the solutions we were just talking about are all AI based, right? Around that. And Justin, are you guys still going down the path? Because when we were at Vision, we were talking about, is Intel Accelerated still going to be a thing, or is that where software companies can basically optimize their solution on Intel's core, correct? Is that basically what it's all about?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. So one, we look at the value exchange we can provide to our ecosystem, and we tend to bucket those under technology enablement, which you hear us talk about all the time, and it's a huge focus, for a technology company like ours. But there's also co-marketing and co-selling, and I think that Accelerated by Intel does a couple things. One, it allows our partners to leverage the Intel brand and that brand association when they're promoting their product. But we also go through a process behind the scenes to make sure that that's something that's commercially repeatable. So it's also a way for us to kind of put a stamp on it that says we've looked at this and we think that this is something that's not only driving the type of outcomes our customers want, but something that's commercially and technically repeatable.
There you go. So if you're a software development company, to have the insignia of Intel, accelerated by Intel as a part of the solution, that has a certain amount of brand equity that you're bringing into it. Number one. Number two, it's a vet. It's a part of the vetting process, and so we're tapping into that from a BlueStar perspective, leveraging some of the marketing initiatives we have around in-a-box solutions and stuff like that, where the whole idea here is to enable the partner so that they can mitigate the risk that is in the marketplace, right? And the anxiety that's out in the marketplace. Oh, okay, you're looking for a solution that can help with machine vision to optimize your space. Got it. We've got this solution. It's vetted. It's accelerated by Intel. There's even some funding to help us market the product. Whatever it is, you can see the clear advantage here. And that is how we as a channel are going to continue to build these types of solutions and start influencing business outcomes with these types of solutions. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And you just mentioned, you talk about in-a-box and these other market-ready solutions that we work with Intel and their partners to build out all the time. They're right there. That's where you're removing some of this risk.
That's it.
That's where you're getting to that VAR, that ISV that says, I need to prove it. I need a case study. I need to know this is going to work before I invest in this and make this part of my tech stack. Well, there you go. We've done it. Yeah. Someone did take that leap, and we built out a solution, and we made it something that, like Justin meant, that it's said that is replicable, something that we can easily quote box up and replicate as needed from case to case and situation to situation. Maybe there's little tweaks and stuff. And customization
always are.
Always are. But you have at least a foundation. And I think that's the thing right there, where if you're someone who's that risk averse and you're thinking, I don't know that I want to get involved in this stuff. I'm just not sure. I don't know enough about it. I haven't seen it enough in action. I don't know if it really works.
Yeah.
We're trying to take a little bit of that guesswork out for you and be able to say, yeah, we've done it. We've done it enough times that we're able to kind of format it and say, hey, here's what a solution looks like. Let's take that, drop it in place, tweak it as need be, and we'll go from there.
And there you go. Yep.
Justin, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, John. So you bring up a really important point, because another thing we've been doing together, and I'll use wait time as an example, is we're trying to help drive commercial repeatability of those solutions through the system integrator community. And one of the ways that we've done that is we take the third-party ISV application, we run it on standard available off-the-shelf hardware. So in the case of wait time, I think it was a Dell R750. And we actually provide sizing guides so that system integrators know how to size the IT infrastructure for their customers. If you're going to run it at 30 frames per second, or you're going to run it at 10 frames per second, that drives a different infrastructure investment for your customer. But it also serves as kind of a validation for the end customer that hardware and that software have been tested to run together. And I think it gives them more peace of mind that they can deploy that solution.
I like it.
Yeah, good
definitely.
stuff.
Well, so let's dig a little deeper on the AI side of things here then, because again, very top of mind conversation everybody keeps talking about. When you hear about AI in the news, and again, I mentioned early on that the proliferation of companies that are trying to figure out how AI fits into their business, whether it should or not, or even matters or not,
right?
So,
everybody's getting the email at this point. Saying, hey,
exactly,
ChatGPT can change your world, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or hey, did you know we now have AI built into this thing that you never knew that you needed AI for? So when we hear about that, and as the news starts picking it up and articles start coming out and talk about, all the discussion keeps building around it, you kind of get this feeling it's almost an arms race of a sense of like who can get there first, who can get there fastest, who can have the biggest, strongest, AI capabilities out there on the market. But there's a recent McKinsey study, and I'll drop a link in the show notes to this to check out some of this because there's a lot of deep dive, really good data in this study. But in particular, there's a lot of folks that mentioned that there's a lot of elements of AI, particularly the generative AI that we're all really fascinated with right now, that they see as risky. They think there's still some potential risk to their businesses on the end user side when it comes to this. So what do you advise that our integrators focus on when they're prepping their clients for how to prepare for this AI wave? Because whether they like it or not, it's going to happen. These technologies are coming. If we're not selling them to you, someone's going to be doing this stuff. It's going to be filtering into your business in some way. How do our folks and how does the channel prepare end users for this wave?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, there's an incredible amount of hype right now, I think for good reason, with generative AI. And today, these are extremely large language models that power things like ChatGPT and Bard. They're running on entire data centers. And it's easy to forget that the wave that's pushing intelligence at the edge is still happening. By 2025, Forbes predicts that more than 75% of all enterprise data will be created and processed outside of the data center. And there's a few things that are driving this. So low latency requirements are at the top of the list, right? You need to get insights quickly. Data sovereignty, as well as regulations and privacy. And I think, where we're seeing a lot of our our ISVs that are focused on endpoints are starting to ask for, how do I build those large language models into something that's more local so that I can kind of fit within the regulations and drive some of that privacy? Because the better security comes when you don't move the data, you get lower cost, right? And it's just a way for us to build out something that from edge to cloud not only meets the needs and kind of drives some of those really incredible efficiencies we're seeing with the large language models and generative AI, but it also gives us an opportunity to shape kind of how we do this together. And I think that we should be talking to end customers to understand how we meet their needs. How do we meet their security needs? How do we meet their privacy needs? How do we fit within the regulatory environment, which is different in each region that our customers might be? And then we can help build that solution together with our ecosystem of partners.
And that's the key right there, right? One of the keys to this whole thing working out, AI, if you will, or whatever, even edge, the intelligent edge, is by having collaborative solutions that address these issues. I'll throw on the table, we talk in BlueStar a lot about the retail media networks that are being built out right now on the edge, meaning these are digital signage that are place-based in retail, hospitality, et cetera. Huge opportunity because of the wave of advertising dollars that is moving out of an online environment to a place-based environment, just because the infrastructure, the compute's there now, all that kind of good stuff. And so when you put that in, when you have that story and try to put that into place, well, what's the next step beyond that? At this part of the edge, it's the analytics behind that and things of that nature. So when we align, and BlueStar is aligning with Intel on partners like Visibility, who now has a solution that can engage and give you analytics around the digital signage that is enabling that retail media network, you're having a much more holistic solution that can really affect some of the business outcomes that are happening at the store level. So a lot of stuff is happening on the intelligent edge. I agree with Justin. I mean, and what did you throw out there? Was it 75% of enterprise data, managed data, will be created or processed outside of the data center? That's huge, right? I mean, that's like a lot of the number crunching is leaving the data center, it's leaving the cloud, it's going out on the edge. So we need to be,
but it makes sense too.
Of course it makes sense. Absolutely. In fact, when you look at it, I came up with another statistic. Edge AI, so this is just AI that's happening on the edge, will reach 67 billion by 2030. That's a 21% CAGR that is operating there. So there's a lot of opportunity, right, for intelligence that's happening on the edge through AI. And I don't know if it's going to be as explosive as what we saw when the LLMs came out. What was the stat there? It was incredible. In just 6 months, LLMs grew APIs. So using APIs to tap into GPT or BART or whatever grew at 1,310% in 6 months from November to May of this year. So, I mean, right, that's like incredible growth. But the point of the matter is, again, that you have a lot of stuff that's happening on the edge. A lot of it is AI driven. You're going to need the support of companies like Intel and BlueStar, hopefully, to enable that, right? And have these solutions, these holistic solutions. So it's a lot of good stuff that's happening.
Yeah. I feel like you just gave like a greatest hits of episodes of the podcast.
Oh, I know, right?
Companies have been talking about all these technologies.
I should have had those numbers, right?
I feel like I need to build a playlist. Yeah, maybe I'll
That's
build
a great
little
idea.
separate
Drop it
playlist.
in the notes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like emerging technologies partners that we've had discussions with over the last couple of years. So especially if this is if this is one of your first episodes, or maybe you haven't listened to all those others, and you want to hear more about all these partners we've talked about, I'll drop a little playlist for you to do that.
You got to take there, Justin, on some of that, or the intelligent.
Well, first of all, I do encourage you to listen to all the partners talk about how they're helping customers solve problems, because nobody can do it better than the partners that are engaged in doing that themselves. So encourage everyone to listen to those past episodes. I think you'll learn a lot. Look, about a year ago, large language models at the edge weren't probably on our radar, to be honest. They certainly weren't in our pipeline. And, over the last 60 days, the number of ISVs that we're engaged with that are developing chatbot-like capabilities for the edge. And you just think you talked about digital displays, Dean. I think that's changed the ordering process. I know I was because of my kids, they wanted to eat in Portugal when we landed at 11 p.m. and McDonald's was like the only thing open. So we go to McDonald's, we get an order through a display technology, right? Which is actually quite simple when you're in a foreign country. It worked out quite nicely. But the ability to engage with it through touch is kind of how we've envisioned that now. But now we see people saying, how do I add chatbot capabilities? How can you interact with that display through voice and order, which is how we've more typically ordered in the past. And, I don't know how broad those capabilities will spread across kind of all the outcomes we're driving, but I suspect it'll be much larger than any of us could imagine.
No, I think you're dead on. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly how it's going to manifest itself in the marketplace. When you partner up with great partners like Elo, for example, on the touch side, which I know Intel is, having relations with them as well. There's good stuff that comes out of it, but it's being enabled on the edge through the compute that can happen. Yes, an interactive touch kiosk, of course, it's going to have those types of assistance and stuff like that built into it. I'm excited about those types of things in the future where it's going.
Yeah. That's ultimately we're just asking everybody to start thinking a little bit bigger.
There you go.
Where you normally
That's
think.
Right.
That's right. And know that you have some partners, us, Intel, all of our various partners, the ecosystem we're building here in the channel. Mm-hmm. You've got some people you can tap into. If you want to start thinking a little bit bigger and expanding your tech stack, as you always like to call it, and introducing some new potential solutions, solving some of those unsolvable problems, we're happy to help you get there.
I'll make one last note here. Remember the BlueStar Nation survey we did on AI? That's another good resource. Back then, and that was just like
a lot of show notes
ago or something. I know, dude.
It hasn't been that long. Yeah,
like 33% said they're using AI in their business today. However, of those not using it, 47% thought that they would within the next 5 years. Yep. And we joked, 5 years. It'll be like 2 or 3 years. You'll probably be using it.
Yeah, if we redo that survey now, it might be very different answers already. Yeah.
I think it's back to Justin's point. It's becoming pervasive. Obviously, I mean, if Intel is seeing this, swell of what's happening, even on the LLM side, which we'll see how that all pans itself out. It's just there's a lot of chatter around it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, hey, before we wrap up talking a little bit about what Intel's going to be doing with us at VARTECH this year, how they're continuing to bring cool innovation and ideas to our folks.
Yes.
I want to, as always, thank our sponsors of the TEConnect podcast and our TEConnect program, of which Intel is one. So thank you so much. Thanks for letting us Justin today. We love to have, smart people come on here and talk about this kind of stuff with us.
You got that right.
If you like our show, we need to hear from you. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit the like button for this episode. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought. Tell us some insights you might have, or maybe some additional stuff you want to hear about that we can pull Justin back on or find someone else to to chat about with us. Subscribe to our channel. If you're listening on any podcaster of your choice, an audio podcaster only, if there's an option to leave a rating or review, please do that, especially iTunes / whatever, Apple Podcasts, I guess what it is these days.
Yes.
Leave us a 5-star rating and review there. I'll be happy to check those out. And if it's a good review, I'll even maybe read it on air and call you out for it. So
There you go.
okay, if you don't want to be called out for it, if that's why you're not leaving reviews, just make a note of that. Just say, nope, I don't want to be talked about on the air about this.
Lower the anxiety. Then I have to write.
Exactly. So I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for you to give us some feedback on our show. And as always, if you want to stay connected with us, a couple things you can do. One, you can always submit topics to us at any time. There's always a link in the show notes to send a topic submission in for us. If you do that, just for sending an idea in of what you want to hear about,
get a free shirt.
You get a free t-shirt. There you go. It's a simple TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
Yes.
It's nice, soft, comfortable. It's a good shirt.
Absolutely.
Just for submitting an idea to us, you get one of those. And if we use you on the show, we'll, maybe reach out and ask, what do you want to hear more about this topic?
Yeah.
Give us some ideas. Yeah. We'll call you out on the show if you like. Again, we don't have to. If you like to remain anonymous, that's fine. We're big into that too. So,
right.
And of course, if you want to stay connected with us and reach out to us at any time, you can find us on X / Twitter / whatever
Are we on
platform.
Threads yet? Are we
not yet.
Go to your favorite social. And
Exactly. I should just start creating an account everywhere and just see what happens at this point. You can find us at TEConnect Pod. You can also email us TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up here with our VAR value segment first.
Yes.
This is where we like to give a little takeaway for our VARs. And in this one, this episode's coming out about a week and a half before VARTECH 2023 kicks off in San Antonio, Texas.
Yep.
So, actually I take it back, not even a week and a half. It's going to be like less than a week, I think, before we're there. So, Justin, I understand you're going to be joining us there. Obviously, Intel's always got a big presence with us, and we love having you there. So what should we expect from Intel at the show and beyond for those who aren't attending?
Yeah, well, John, I'll tell you about what I was planning to focus on while we're there. But even before I do that, after you ask your listeners to provide the good feedback you'll read on air, I've got this idea that maybe while we're there, we can do like a David Letterman top 10 with all the negative comments. Just to make it more interesting. So hopefully we can look forward to that.
Yeah, really.
No, we're really excited. Look, the partnership with BlueStar and the emphasis we're driving on outcome-based selling is really what I'm most excited about. And the way we've kind of organized this is we've taken the top industries or verticals and the outcomes that we want to help them drive. And those are generally driven by, the value that it drives for them. Organizing kind of the top use cases and then the capabilities that enable those use cases and the ISV partners that develop applications with those capabilities, and working our way back to who are the most important partners we can help scale to solve these business outcomes. And then going back to that, commercial and technical repeatability, how do we then go validate those on systems that are available in market? They might even be infrastructure our customers already have on site, which is really exciting because then, the TCO story was already really good. Now the TCO story becomes incredible. And so I think continuing down those conversations, identifying more partners, and then collaborating to drive those outcomes for our shared customers is what I'm most excited about.
Bingo. And I'll add in there, we're going to start messaging, and you'll see it from BlueStar, things around retail modernization, healthcare modernization, and supply chain. We realize those are some certain target areas where, to Justin's point, we've been working collaboratively to come up with solutions, holistic solutions. We've mentioned some of the partners in this podcast. There are many more that we're working with to vet and to really come to market with solutions that answer the needs around such as retail modernization or healthcare modernization that's happening in the space. In supply chain, as we all know, what's happening, not just with AI and robotics, but a lot of things that are happening there as well as these areas become even more modern through digital modernization and things of that nature. So a lot of good stuff happening, and you're going to start seeing that from our perspective, messaging around that enables our partners to go to market with these types of solutions. Yep. So good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna keep hearing us continue to talk about things like partner assisted ecosystems, these outcome based solutions, edge, robotics, AI, all this kind of stuff. Where we've been talking about it for a few years, but we're just going to keep doing it. It's not like, again, we're not going to stop. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going away, and it's obviously getting closer and closer, becoming more and more part of our channel.
That's right.
And hey, I just want to say also, if you're not attending VARTECH, that's okay, because Dean and I, like last year, will do a recap.
We'll do the recap.
Yeah, we'll have a recap episode where we talk about some of the highlights you missed. You know, if anything we've got on video, we might play some nice video clips. So you know, stay tuned for that. If you're not attending VARTECH, we'll still give you a little bit of insight of some of the stuff you might have missed, so you don't miss out on some of the smart thought leadership going on there. And I'll just go back once again and say that this stuff we're talking about here, it's not wishful thinking science project type stuff.
No. Yeah,
real solutions.
No science fair here.
To solve real problems with real people. You know, I go back to Justin's initial example about the healthcare situation there, and the idea again of, you know, helping out with solutions that are actually potentially going to save lives. And not every solution has to save a life, but also at the same time, if you can't help out in that way, and we're handing you the opportunities, and we're handing you the ecosystem and the partners to get there, you might as well. You might as well get involved. Right. Yeah. So this is the future. It's, you know, and we appreciate that Intel is a partner that's really helping us get there and helping our VARs and ISVs
for sure
and integrators get there too.
Absolutely.
So, looking forward to what you guys bring to VARTECH and beyond.
Yep.
All right. Hey, let's wrap things up as always with our favorite segment of each week. What's TEConnecting with you?
Yes, sir.
This is where we get to ramble about something in the world of science, tech, innovation, business, just something that's got our attention that we feel like talking about today.
Yes, sir.
Justin, I know you have a fascinating one for this, so tell us what's TEConnecting with you right now.
Yeah, I would say actually what's been taking a lot of my mind share is this idea and this challenge that we're working on. We have a partner, Aricity, based in Europe, and their CEO, Kevin, every other time I talk to him, probably likes to remind me that there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Why is that important? Well, if you're using video camera technology like many of our AI solutions, and you're doing 30 frames per second, you got to multiply it by that 86,400. It's about 2.6 million images that camera is doing some sort of analytics on every day. Yeah, you start talking about like a 10,000 camera deployment. Now you're talking 25 billion images every day. And, you know, especially with privacy laws, you're trying to not have anything that's identifiable to the individual. So you're doing the analytics, but you're creating massive amounts of metadata. And that metadata is being stored in the cloud. And, you know, the ability for generative AI and large language models to help you search more effectively that metadata that's sitting in the cloud with all of that kind of data that's being created at the edge is something that they're working to resolve for many of their end customers. And it's an area I'm just really excited about because not only does it drive better outcomes, better experience, but it's really, I think, something that will become prevalent for all of these edge-based solutions we've been working on. How do we then kind of create a more economical and effective way to search that metadata in the cloud?
That's a little under the hood, but man, that's a good one. And we think about all the information and these massive, I tried to visualize just massive mounds of data, right? Yeah, that's really cool.
That's the point. We can't visualize it. Our brains can't keep up with that. So we need the technology to help us do that.
How many
for us.
Billions of images in one day? No.
It makes me think
handle
of,
it.
There's two things this conversation makes me think of. First of all, when you mention how many seconds there are, what was it, a day or a year, whatever, it makes me think of that song from Rent, The Seasons of Love, 525,600 minutes. So there's that. But it also makes me think of, like, when you think of like combing through like, pictures and data, it makes me think of like old school like science fiction movies and stuff where they'd have an image and they want to get closer, like enhance, and they're kind of like moving in on one small little, which does not work, or at least would never have worked on the technology.
It does if you work for the FBI or the CIA, right? They can,
once you start getting a little too far, it starts getting a little too pixelated. That's what that reminds me of too. But yeah, you're right, man. There's so much good data that's there, and if we can just find smarter and better ways to actually comb through it,
crunching the data,
and get what we need out of it. Imagine what that's going to open up.
Yeah,
so
good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Very good
stuff.
stuff.
Man.
All right, Dean, what's TEConnecting with you?
Hey, I know you're a foodie. Do you? Does any of this sound appealing? Poison bread sandwich or a mosquito repellent roasted potato?
Well, I mean, I like the idea of like mosquitoes not being on my food, but
Justin,
go on.
Either one of those appealing to you? Maybe not. So they
might need some better branding.
Here's a story of AI gone bad. Here's the headline: AI-powered meal app serves up recipe for chlorine gas. So a New
I heard
Zealand
about this.
supermarket experimented with using AI to generate meal plans, as seen in its app, produced some unusual dishes, recommending custom recipes for deadly chlorine gas, poison bread sandwiches, and mosquito repellent roasted potatoes. Now, so that's a little bit of an issue, right? But it's kind of funny. It asks users to enter in various ingredients in their homes, and it'll auto-generate a meal plan for you, right?
Right.
Along with cheery commentary. Like, it initially drew its attention on social media when some unappealing recipes included an Oreo vegetable stir fry. There's a nice accompaniment to it. But when customers began experimenting with entering a wider range of household shopping list items, it started to make it look a little less appealing. One recipe was dubbed the aromatic water mix, which actually created chlorine gas. So,
wow,
yeah, we don't want to do that. So there's your story of AI going bad. I don't know, Justin. Is that we still have faith in AI though, right, brother? It's gonna.
We do. I'm with John. I understand the use case for the mosquito repellent potatoes. I'm not sure I understand what the outcome desired is from poisonous bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This reminds me of there's a TikTok account that I love. I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, but she always starts everyone off with "Everybody's so creative," and it's always her like green screening over. Because there's a whole nother subsection of TikTok where people just make bizarre food concoctions.
Oh, okay,
where they're
gotcha.
dumping like French fries and milk and raw meat into a container together, something, stirring it up and throwing it in the oven or whatever, and saying that it's something when it comes out. And she's always just sitting there like making commentary over it as if like, yeah, sure, this sounds great.
Yeah.
Throw that meat on the table, with no lining and no, nothing in between. Sure, why not?
Why not?
So that kind of reminds me of that, like just that bizarre, the types of food people try to make that they think is something and it's really not anything. So,
but not only that, but even just the little stuff of like going back to the poisonous gas thing there. It did have a descriptor: serve chilled and enjoy the refreshing fragrance. See, AI is just, wow. I still have faith. But we got a little work to do.
I'm guessing that supermarket did not have an Intel vetted partner to work with on that particular solution.
No, it's the pack and save, and it's in New Zealand, so it's really far away.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Anyway, what's TEConnecting with you?
All right. Well, speaking of bad meat and bad food,
yes.
Have you ever had food poisoning?
Oh yes, I'm sure I have in my life. Yeah,
I know I have.
Good.
Did not enjoy it. Had salmonella once. Well,
I mean, never hospitalized, but we have all.
I actually did spend like a night or two in the hospital with mine.
You've had okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily needed to, but it was like, well, I'd rather be here doing this with an IV hooked up to me.
Yes, exactly.
At home retching all night.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a great headline that can help out with this potentially. Researchers create packaging tray that warns of contamination before food is unwrapped.
This is a great use of technology.
Now, as always, we always have our TEConnecting links in the show notes.
Yes.
This one, I'll give a little bit of a trigger warning. If you don't like seeing raw meat, there's like a giant splash picture of like raw chicken at the top of this article. That's I love chicken, but like I don't like seeing it raw anymore. We're
gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine.
Anyway, so this is researchers at McMaster University have created a new packaging tray that can signal when salmonella or other dangerous pathogens are present in packages of raw or cooked foods such as chicken.
There you go.
It says the prototype tray, shaped like a shallow boat, is lined with a food-safe reagent that allows a built-in sensor to detect and signal the presence of salmonella. The technology can readily be adapted to test for other common foodborne contaminants such as E. coli and listeria. I think
this is a great use of technology.
It really is. That's a smart idea. I mean, if nothing else, I would think food companies would embrace this because I'm sure I know, in fact, because I've actually done some research and marketing around this, that it costs a lot of money to do recalls. Oh, yeah. When if you put out a bad batch of something, that's like, even if it's just a small portion of it, to recall that and all the stuff that's still potentially good. And then the damage your brand takes because of it. Now, I want to take this to the next level because I recently.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. This weekend, I got some burgers I had them in the freezer. I got them from the supermarket right in the freezer.
Gotcha.
Took them out of the freezer, stuck them in the fridge to thaw.
Sure.
After a day and a half of being in the fridge, we didn't eat them the next day. We were planning to the following day. They had already turned brown.
Oh, not good.
I want some packaging that's going to give me somehow a heads up that could happen. Maybe I don't know. This this probably isn't going to be good, even if you take it right out of the freezer and throw it on the
Little flag comes up and says
grill.
no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
this is no good.
Give me something for that can help me with that. I'm sure if I dropped it into this packaging, there probably was some kind of pathogens that were now present there. But
I like this technology. I like
yeah,
where this
I do
is
too.
heading. This
I
is
think
good
that's
stuff.
I think that's going to be handy. Justin, what do you think?
I love it. I'm a foodie as well, and a fairly adventurous eater, and I have had food poisoning more times than I can remember. Now, this technology will help me get out of the forced diet, and I'll probably have to exercise more, once a year. It sounds amazing.
There you go. All right, that's what's Tech Connecting with us. Justin Christiansen from Intel, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate having you on the show. Hey, we do have to unplug today, but until next time, check out your meat, smell it, make sure it smells good. If you don't have this dynamic packaging for it yet, give it the smell test before you cook it. Maybe comb through some video feed, enhance. As always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is brought to you by Elo. Hey, we were just talking about Elo and their capabilities, touchscreen capabilities.
Kiosk, yes.
Well, self-service has never been easier thanks to Elo and their Wallaby Pro kiosk stand. The Wallaby Pro is changing the industry by making it easier than ever to configure interactive self-service solutions. You can choose from wall, counter, and floor models engineered with configurations to fit any space in retail, restaurants, hospitality, healthcare, and corporate environments.
Holy moly.
They got it all covered there.
They do.
Just add a 22, 24, or 27-inch touchscall display. All right, now you looking for some more options?
Yes,
for
of course.
Your stand here?
I need choices.
Yes, of course. We all need choices. How about a custom branded backer board?
Okay, nice.
So something looks slick and neat.
For a little
and
advertisement.
has your advertising, your branding on it.
Yep.
A ceiling pole to minimize footprint.
Nice.
You don't want to clog up space. Precious space in every store. Add a printer.
Yes.
An ADA keyboard.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
An assist button.
Yes.
If you're somebody who just needs help all the time, press a button to do that. Use Elo's EdgeConnect to attach accessories. Oh, and the Wallaby Pro stand offers easy-to-access concealed housing for a power strip, power bricks, compute devices, cables, whatever you need. They kind of got it all here. Yeah,
yes.
Make it look nice, and neat, and slick.
Yes.
Ready to help your customers design the most customizable self-service solutions? Start with the Wallaby Pro. Contact your Elo representative to learn more. TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by Zebra. Look, change is nothing new for those in warehousing, distribution, fulfillment. Stuff is always constantly changing.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Last few years alone, I'm sure a lot has changed.
You got that right.
Those industries.
Yeah.
But the pandemic accelerated a number of trends affecting the supply chain, increasing the need to make warehouse operations as agile, automated, and resilient as possible. In Zebra's new warehousing vision study called Dynamic Markets Demand Warehouse Agility, you'll learn what trends move decision makers to modernize and what warehouse associates consider important in their roles.
Nice.
It's kind of important.
Yes.
Know what the workers are actually talking about.
Right.
Among the key insights, 71% of warehouse leaders are accelerating the timelines of their modernization projects.
Ooh.
And 83% of warehouse workers report increased productivity from working with autonomous robots.
See, that's good stuff.
Stuff we're talking about all the time. Check out the link in the show notes to request the full study.